Good morning, gamers. I'm Aldine, and we're going to be playing Kerbal Space Program today. Today we're going to be building a pretty cool station. It's kind of like a weird half Death Star, like semicircle Spire type of looking thing. It's incredibly laggy, so I've fast-forwarded a lot of the footage. It was unbearable to make, but looks really good now, so let's get right into it. Alright, so here we are. We're building the craft. I had a lot of different ideas for this type of design. As you can see, I'm doing like I think this was maybe 24-way symmetry, 32-way symmetry. It wasn't the full 64 because we're using these science labs. It would have taken way too long. I'm kind of experimenting with some of those cockpits and cabins, and like, God, there's like a little too much glass going on. And I'm like, all right, you know what looks good on this? Some wings. So I've built stations like this kind of in the past with like a lot of wings, and like you saw me use those really long space plane wings. They look good on this. Well, they look on other things. They don't look so great on this. As you can see, I'm just adding more and more layers of wings. And I'm like, wow, these actually on the inside, they fit together so perfectly. And now I'm just adding a couple of Mark II cabins. It kind of occurred to me after I built this that there's technically no like space in between the top layer of labs and the bottom layer of cabins. But just ignore that. You know, that's just like some canonical thing. Don't worry about it. I was intending on trying to remove this center crew cabin. Unfortunately, I can't because it's the thing that all these labs are like on symmetry with. So that's a little unfortunate, but yeah. I'm trying to do some asymmetry here, or with these like little spires on the side. Oh, this is my favorite. I have a little Mark II crew cabin, patent pended, like kind of Mark 2.5 type of size, where I make them into like little lengthwise crew cabins. They're more interesting than just the crew cabins by themselves. So here is the point where I realized, I'm not going to be able to get rid of this Mark II crew cabin right in the middle. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to probably like try to incorporate this into the design. What can I do on either side? You know, I don't want it to be fully symmetrical. That's kind of been a new thing of mine in KSP, that I have to make things not symmetrical, because if you look at a base, you know, it's always like a T or like a 3-pillar base, because it's easy to do symmetry around the center object. And I get that this is symmetry. Trust me, I'm not saying that this is asymmetrical almost at all. It's just that top little bit with the little antenna versus the crew cabins over there. But that's something I've been experimenting a lot with. I have a lathe base that I'm building, and it does not look like it will be able to fly whatsoever. Maybe I'll do a future video on that, its creation, but I've been working on asymmetry a little bit. Not that this is asymmetrical, but so I'm realizing now, and kind of a few moments earlier, that the crew cabin in the middle is here to stay, so I'm going to have to work on that. I'm looking to put in some little docking ports. As you can see, I put them on those wings, and it's like, all right, great. I can have some interesting docking areas for a smaller craft or escape pods, things like that. And now these little, like, senior docking port things right here, you know, they're good for bigger spacecraft. But the only unfortunate part is that because I can't use like 2x symmetry, so that where they're even with each other, because if I were to turn on the symmetry, it would automatically snap to the 64-way symmetry like you just saw with those docking ports right there. So I'm kind of having to do this manually, where I'm like, all right, I gotta put one on one side, gotta put one on the other side and match them, just like kind of eyeballing it using the move tool, and then like clicking like absolute and stuff like that. It's a little annoying. I changed the colors on there. I'm like, all right, only like a little bit of the white has to be peeking out, a little bit of the gray, a little bit of the orange. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best. It looks fine because on this scale, you're not going to be able to really look at them super closely. And so that's fine. This is the point, I think, actually, where I realized, oh gosh, I can't get rid of this center bit. So I'm like, all right, I can cover it. I can cover it. What can I do to cover it so it doesn't look awful? And I'm like, all right, a fairing? No, that looks terrible. But here we go. Something interesting with the cargo bays, because now it's like, it's concealed and it's like a nice sleek bay. You know what I mean? So I took those gigantic spaceplane wings as they were connected from the outside in, and then I'm like, all right, I'll take these and then connect them from the inside out. There we go. There we go. Okay, I was just wondering to myself, I was like, that is what I did, right? So yeah, so I connect them up there, and then I kind of just line them up so that way they look like they're connecting, so that way like both angles of the wing kind of intersect so they look good. And yeah, I just throw a crew cabin on top because, you know, what else do you do? I didn't want to put the cupola module on there because literally at the top of every single one of these types of bases, you throw a cupola module on there and you're like, bada bing, we're done. Just throwing on some solar panels here and some radiators. I was getting a little crafty with the solar panels, and I was like, all right, I'll put 2 of the gigantic solar panels, then 2 of the medium solar panels, and then 2 of the cool circular ones. And I'm like, this is getting a little too busy, so I end up just throwing a few things away, and I'm like, I'll just put some radiators on it. Honestly, I have like 700 hours in KSP, and I really don't even know what radiators do besides like the mining and the convertitron stuff. Yeah, because I don't know if they actually have any other function besides that. Maybe if you're building a base that's really close to the sun, maybe it somehow makes it so your base doesn't blow up as much. So here we're building the launch stage. This is completely symmetrical, just, I don't know, 4 of the largest tanks in the game, and then I think that's called the Mammoth engine at the bottom. The Mammoth engine, but there we go. All right, so we're on the launch pad, and this is real time. If you looked at me just throttling up just then, this thing is incredibly laggy. When I built it, I remembered the weight of it. It's in the hundreds of tons. I think with the launching, like the launch stage, I think it might be close to 700 tons, or I don't know. I think the dry mass might be 300 tons. I don't know. It's absolutely gigantic. But as you can see, that entire time that I said, did you see me throttling up, until just now when it launched, was how long it took for me to like press the spacebar button and then it to actually go. And this is sped up maybe like 2,000% or something like that. So this craft was incredibly laggy. Something I learned in Kerbal Space Program though, when you're building something this big, aerodynamics are kind of weird. So you just want to go up really high and then immediately burn sideways, so that way you're just not dealing with the atmosphere at all. When you have so many engines though, it makes it so you don't want to like flip out. It's nice, but also annoying because it's just so much mass to move around. It just makes turning super ridiculously slow. So we got up into orbit now. I'm trying to like do some fine adjustments to my orbits so my apoapsis and periapsis are kind of the same. And then here, check it out. Bada bing. I really was not expecting all of those to fly away like that. I probably should have turned the like ejection force of all the radial decouplers to really low. But here we go. This is what the station looks like. It is, I don't really have a name for it. I just called it Ring Station. But there you go, the solar panels are coming out. It's got that little docking nodule on the bottom, and it has the docking bays on the inside by the rings. It's got the senior docking ports on the outside. And there we go, we got the lights on. Yeah, and then I just did regular struts as well as auto struts on this because this thing is incredibly prone to exploding. Just the way that like part clipping and like the symmetry on these type of crafts, if they're really gigantic, they just love to explode. So we got our little Kerbal out here. You can like do like a little walk on there. It's gigantic. Like you got loads and loads of space. And like I said, it's kind of like a half Death Star type looking thing. Actually, after I built this, I went back and like experimented with like copying the bottom half onto the top half. But now we're just gonna add a little bit of another module. It looks pretty good though, so I'm pretty happy. I was like, what does this station need? I'm not gonna add anything too fancy. I'll probably make a whole nother video with like, I don't know, maybe a space shuttle or like an interplanetary craft that's just docked there. I'm not really sure what yet, and so I was like, all right, 2 things that all my stations always have. And you can see me building here. A space tug, that's the thing with the gigantic monopropellant tanks, the yellow tanks. And then an escape pod, because, you know, it's kind of realistic that you would want to be able to escape from a station if it was blowing up for whatever reason. And then here I'm just throwing a pretty stock standard rocket together pretty quickly. In the big old fairing, rotating to the side so that way when I drop those SRBs, they don't slam into the side. I built it kind of hastily, and I didn't put any of those little Sepitron rockets on the side to like boost them away space shuttle style. That's okay. I'm not going to show you the full docking and stuff like that because it's a little boring. I'll do a video on docking, but here I'm just going to cut in like 3, 2, 1, something like that. There we go. Wow, so good. It's not like I can see the post-editing timeline. So here we go, we're coming in. We got the space tug on the back, we got the docking, or the escape pod on the front. yeah, we got the docking tug in the back and the escape pod in the front. There we go. So we're just gonna come in, dock it in here. You will see that there's a problem with the little space tug at the end, which is kind of unfortunate. I might just have to send another one up there, but here goes the escape pod. It's got the heat shield, it's got electricity, it's got parachutes and everything like that. So yeah, you can see like this little ring right here. It's like a interstage weird fairing thing that I got. I'm like trying to remove it. I'm like, oh gosh, like it's stuck on there. So this space tug is only good for things with senior docking ports. Normally when I make these, I make them double-sided just like this. Not exactly sure why that interstage thing stayed, because I clicked undock, and so I was kind of expecting that part to come off, but there you go. So now the station has like kind of the bare bones things that it needs. It's got the escape pod, it's got the tug. It looks really good, and I'm really happy. So if you guys like the video, follow and subscribe.